Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can. And I continue with Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York, Blind. Now, last time I arrived at this gallery here where some kind of a meeting is supposed to take place to decide my fate, so the gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see open contempt on few faces and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you, as if wishing to appraise your worth. Memories come back to you like a bad case of PTSD. How many times before had someone judged you, impassively or decisively, through your art? You'd share a piece of yourself with the world, and it would respond by making you feel like garbage. It always took a lot of effort not to lose your cool and tell them all to shove their opinions up their collective asses. Now, looking around, it feels like you've become another artwork, as commodity to be judged by a bunch of obscenely wealthy, out-of-touch assholes. It makes you want to scream. "Good evening, Career. And to you, child," says the woman. Now, I'm unfortunately not sure how you pronounce his name. I'm pretty sure it's probably differently than Kadir, but I am going to refer to him as Kadir. So he will have to deal with it, unless the game itself provides some kind of a pronunciation guide, which I doubt. The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers, you being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response. "Good evening, miss. You're addressing the Prince of New York City, Helene Panard, child of Michaela? Apparently the title of a prince is unisex, which I guess maybe it's because princess would have sounded a lot less regal. Although, would it? I don't know. Maybe it's because the vampires. I haven't really looked much into their sort of outlook on like gender equality, quote unquote. But it seems reasonable to assume that many vampires would be very, the older ones being rooted in the culture of their youth, of their mortality, would still be kind of misogynistic. Like maybe originally it was only men that could be princes in the Camarilla. I don't know, to be honest, but apparently she is the prince. She's not the princess. "Thank you, my sheriff, but I am capable of introducing myself. Prince Panard." Again, I'm not sure how you pronounce her surname, but I'm going to go with Panard rather than Panhard with the hard H, because the other option sounds stupid. Like it makes me think of panning something hard. So I'm going to go with Panard. She is somewhat plain looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people, that much is clear. "You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction into unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience. But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. My sire? Wait, my sire? You mean the man that I met at the gallery? That's one of the things we are here to ascertain. You are about to be judged by the court of New York City. Kadir, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here. Court, Prince? Is this some kind of a secret society make-believe? A trusted informant who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. Interestingly, his sire made use of an older haven of the Clan of the Rose for the for the embrace. I accidentally clicked Control, which is apparently skip. So not here, but here. Interestingly, his sire made use of an older haven of one of the Clan of the Rose for the embrace. They were even thoughtful enough to have a local woman for the fledgling to slake his thirst on. Despite some reservations, he offered little resistance last night and cooperated on our way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force his compliance. We had a quick chat, but wishing to appear here post-haste, I urged him to join me, which he did without struggle. A pleasant departure from my usual routine, I must say. We had a pleasant drive here, all in all. I'm happy to say I was spared any surprises, but for a harmless request or two. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. Okay. It's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blood-red hair and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder? Well, she is perhaps most likely the character that is on the thumbnail, which I found as a wallpaper, because it says here curly blood-red hair. And I think she might also be on the cover of the game itself. Thank you, Kadir. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to you. First, there is the matter of your sire, the person who brought you where Kadir picked you up from last night. Who were they? Sire? Again? Let me ask you this first. Why do you keep using this word, sire? What does it mean? Under regular circumstances, they would be your patron and the one responsible for your introduction into our society. Things being what they are, however, I would very much like to know who they are. Indulge me. You find it impossible to decline her final request. Something in her voice makes you want to please her, and you hear yourself speak. He was beautiful, charismatic, charming, dark hair, a sort of artistic mess. He had an accent I couldn't recognize. He took notice of my art, bought a piece in fact. I wanted to meet him again. No, I want to meet him again. You stop yourself from saying more, and realize there's not much more to talk about. A nagging thought enters your mind. How did this prince persuade you with such ease? Well, again, she probably used a vampiric discipline to force my compliance. Well, Kadir, does that sound familiar? No, it does not. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we are done here. Actually, he bought one of my paintings. You can track him. I guess I can say it to sort of ingratiate myself with them, because if it proves useful information, then by extension I would have proven useful in one way or the other. but then Kadir suggested pretty strongly that if they find him, they're going to kill him. So, because obviously in the world of darkness it is illegal to create new vampires without the permission of the prince. It's the right to embrace, right? You have to request it first. So if I tell them that, I feel like I'm going to be complicit in his eventual death if they do catch him. So what happens now? Well, that's as much as you are getting out of me. What now? Now it's time to decide your fate, fledgling. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince? What is your recommendation, my sheriff? The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. Yeah, right. I am ready to fulfill my duty. Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Kadir. I wish to consult my council on this, make sure everyone is in agreement. Of course. He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask Kadir what's all this talk about tradition and the council was, but the red-haired woman approaches the two of you. Sophie? Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling. What for? She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Kadir. We all know what the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stain your hands tonight, after all. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, and resolve. I'll go get my sword. Oh. Whoa. Are they literally going to execute me with a sword? That's pretty old-fashioned, but I guess it checks out with the fact that the most powerful vampires are also old. So, they would have been... they are clinging to the culture of their mortal days, and back in the day, they would execute you with a sword, or hang you, depending on... But I guess you can't hang vampires, because obviously... I think as long... Actually, what would happen if you would break... if you would rake the vampires, what is it called in English? Spinal column? Basically, if you would break a vampire's neck, would they die? Or... Because obviously they function on what is basically magic, right? Their organs don't function... Well, I guess their heart kind of functions, because it pumps blood throughout their body. But even that is basically magic, because the blood inside a vampire's body is... it's not controlled by biology. It's literally controlled by their will. The vampire can will the blood to follow into a certain part of the body with his thought. Like, if you cut a vampire in the world of darkness, he will not bleed unless he chooses to. So what would happen if you would hang a vampire? If any of you watching know, then please let me know. I'm actually kind of interested. He steps out of the room the way you came, and you are left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of her remaining guest follow you. Well then, fledgling, you are in quite a pickle. It seems like the two of you have a history. Sounded like you knew exactly what to say to him. I could swear that you two have a history. Aren't you a perceptive one? If only I could direct your focus elsewhere. What I want to tell you demands your full attention. Last night you became a vampire. Wait, what? Oh yes, I am well aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why we have nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. The being called vampires, you are looking at them. They are us. You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale, really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. It's not the right thickness, and not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night, there's no denying it. And your breathing has not returned, your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, what the fuck, on repeat. You're surprised. This is often how it plays by design, Kadir deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we do nothing, we will be cut down, as sure as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you are lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and your deference to Kadir will work in your favor. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I am not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences. So, what happens if I agree? Suppose I say yes. What happens then? You survive, hopefully, or not, depending on the prince's whim. I'm giving you a chance, not a guarantee. But if you take me as your patron, I will be your guide in this new reality, and you will assist me like a child would a sire. Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems that the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Kadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you. When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition. She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Kadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard, fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Kadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage again. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla gathered here tonight. I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. She briefly addresses you. I want you to know that it was not an easy decision to make. For your part, you have not done anything to earn our ire. I do feel a genuine sorrow for what must be done. We are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. There is no place for tolerating dissent when our very existence is under constant threat, although I acknowledge some of my council's divergent opinions on this. She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before, a rather plainly dressed, shy-looking man whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority of the fledgling's fate, and I declare that their embrace might be the sire's responsibility. I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence it is the progeny that must be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Clear? You hear a scraping sound and see the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. It is a beautifully detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. I have no idea what that means. If it's an idiom, then I don't know it. His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you. As his eyes meet yours, you notice just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination. Oh, I guess he kind of feels sorry for having to do it. And he's out to bat. Is he referencing baseball? If so, then I wouldn't know what he was talking about, even if this was in Polish, because I know nothing about the rules of baseball. Obviously, it's not a particularly popular sport in Poland. You will not get another chance to speak up. Yeah, obviously I have to ask for mercy, like, I literally have no choice. It's my... like, I am literally just about to get executed, so... You make your choice. I don't want to die. Spare me, please. Prince, if I may ask to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer. Kadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at the moment's notice. Is there something you would like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may. At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The bored elites suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophie takes a few steps forwards. All eyes are on her now, but Kadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear. You want to take advantage of the distraction. My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. The fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they could become an asset to our domain. Am I to understand that you are volunteering to take this sireless child under your protection? Yes, I happen to think that they may hold potential that would be unfortunate to waste. I do expect their full cooperation, of course. Whispers can be heard again, an incredulous voice or two, a hushed, just behead the fucker, some suppressed exclamations of surprise. Silence. I ask all of you to make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in the child's favor, but another will have to be informed even more firmly in its stead. Until the progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that is a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling, and to add a valuable ally to our sect in time of need, yes, but I would need to receive the right of destruction over them, if it pleases you. Wait, the right of destruction? That basically gives her free rein to kill me, so long as I am still like, I believe there's like a trial period after you are embraced. I don't know how long it lasts for. Maybe it lasts for as long as your sire deems it fit, but basically the previous law, with her being responsible for what I do, is linked with this one. It's like a failsafe, right? She can kill me at any time, but also she's responsible for what I do. So it's kind of a what's the word? It's something to give her in damn it, I'm struggling with words today. The right of destruction is there to ensure that she can protect her own interests, so that I don't become a liability to her. But she can also presumably release me at some point, at which point I become my own sort of member of society, and she can no longer destroy me then. But she also has no further obligation to support me. Wait, the right of destruction? What do you mean by that? Kadir's grasp tightens on your arms like a vice. His other hand goes for his sword again. Sophie locks eyes with you. I will explain, but not right now. Right now we need to await the prince's decision. No need to wait. I am ready to pass judgment. I shall grant you what you ask. Let it be known that Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. So she's also a Toreador. I wonder if that varies, like if she has a multiple choice background, and if she's always the clan that you are, or is she always a Toreador and you're of a different clan, if you choose a different one. Miss Langley will take the full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of distraction if she sees to fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. I am not to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion. I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla, substantially so. I hope that you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley? Of course, Prince. Thank you. Very well. She turns to you. What is your name, child? Matt, I guess. I guess there's no point in, like, it is literally my name, although I guess I am dead, so... Oh, and I guess I also didn't choose a surname, which is weird, but... Well, maybe it is literally my artist, like, maybe it is my pen name, or my brush name? Is the expression, like, does the expression pen name have, like, variants for other kinds of art? Well, is my artist moniker enough? I am a painter. I've used a moniker before. Would that suffice? You may use any name that's appropriate to be utilized in an official manner. My name is Matt, then. She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Matt. Now, this evening proved to be more eventful than I anticipated, but with the fledgling's fate decided, I believe that our meeting here can conclude. Thank you all for appearing at such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Kadir, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties? Of course, Prince. He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched, you will be judged, and if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. Well, Matt, I think we've already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to our new fruitful partnership. She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed concierges who have reappeared in the showroom to refill the guests' glasses. The conventionally handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. He pours it into two tall glasses. You can barely wait until he hands you the drink. Your attention is fully on it. The fact that it's blood, you're certain of it, doesn't faze you this time. While Sophie sips her drink, you realize this thirst, no, this hunger, can only be satiated by drinking the whole glass in almost a single gulp. As the liquid coats your throat, blissful relief takes hold. A posh woman passing by rolls her eyes by your lack of at your lack of etiquette, but Sophie pays her no mind. Kadir has been starving you, hasn't he? Let's see if I can do something about that. She motions again. The man returns and gives you a refill. This time you find yourself having more control. You take a sip, savor it. It's smoky and warm, making you think of a cozy cabin in the woods. It does strike you a strange image for your mind to jump in while drinking human blood, but it is what it is. You've never tasted anything like it. Do you like it? I think that the NYC caterers have a very bourgeois idea about what good blood should taste like. Apologies, you must have so many questions. While we're on the topic, perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. I guess the most important question is, how much do I need to survive? Because obviously I will need to hunt for it in time, I imagine. I feel this hunger constantly. How much do I have to drink to make it go away? The sad reality is that it will never go away. No matter how much you drink, you will always be tempted to have more. Unless you consume someone wholly to the last drop, paying for temporary relief with their life, but that is a one-way road to losing your humanity. That's actually pretty horrible. Like, I don't know if it was like this in the older editions of Vampire the Masquerade as well, but it seems right now the game is telling me that the only way to satiate your hunger completely is to kill a person, which is actually kind of brilliant. I kind of love it as part of the game's design, because it either means that you are never satisfied, or it means that you are eventually going to be a monster, because you will have to kill someone eventually, if you want to feel relief for just a single moment, or otherwise you're going to constantly fight your hunger. So that's a pretty great. As I said, I don't believe it was like this in the older editions. Maybe it was, but I was never that well versed in Vampire the Masquerade specifically. I'm more of a werewolf guy. Best start by taking just a simple sip from a vessel. Be prudent. Hot, fresh blood will be more satiating than most anything they serve in a fancy glass, but it can make you more voracious. As to how much you should have, it depends. If you are frugal, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky and will tempt the beast that is part of our cares. Tomorrow I shall take you hunting, and we will explore this topic further. The blood you're having tonight should be enough to keep you happy for now. You mentioned a beast. This beast you mentioned, is that a metaphor or... Oh, it's quite real, although not in a strictly physical sense. It lives in all of us, our nature and hunger manifest. Those more religious among us, connected to the biblical Cain, the rage of the first murderer, cursed by God, seething in all of his descendants. I, however, am a child of the Enlightenment. Not that it makes my struggle any easier, I have to be wary like every other kindred in the city and beyond. I guess I have, it sometimes points to things in my dictionary, which I guess I can peruse to learn about the different terms. For example, the Camarilla is a major sect of vampires devoted primarily to maintaining the masquerade through the influence and manipulation of mortal society. But I don't think I'm going to read them all each time. Like, I think it's going to flow better if I will, obviously I as a player already understand most of those terms anyway, because I'm familiar with the world of darkness, but I feel like it's better to let the game sort of explain it in action, or to have it explained sort of by seeing it in context, rather than breaking the flow of the game by pausing and reading this dictionary every time. For example, a fledgling is a newly created vampire, still under their sire's protection. But again, I feel like most of those things you can get from context. Individual kindred each have a unique relationship to their beast. What yours is going to be remains to be seen. But you do need to keep it under control. Each outburst endangers not just you, but also the masquerade. The concierge? I don't know how to read that word, unfortunately. Well, he returns asking for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile and leans to whisper in her ear. You note that the gallery is now almost empty. I am being told that the gallery is just about to close, but we still have a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. And my jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come. And the smile she puts on makes you remember last night's encounter in the showroom. A similar eagerness to spend time with this person overtakes you momentarily, and you follow her outside. Your sixth sense tells you that she's an artistic soul too, and you unwittingly start projecting good qualities onto her. Sophie leads you into a luxurious silver Rolls Royce and invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, starts driving immediately. Where did we leave off? Ah, yes, I believe we started talking a bit about our customs. You heard the prince refer to our traditions. Chief among them is the masquerade. As you might have gathered from us assembling in a niche gallery after closing time, our comings, goings and doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We do not advertise our existence. We allow myths and modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts, so that the vast majority of we remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. Say, is that one television show about a vampire angel still popular? You shake your head in confusion. She shrugs and continues talking, looking a little bit more dejected than before. Our clandestine ways help us remain safe, allows us to explain away the occasional trip to the rational... Our clandestine way helps us to remain safe, allows us to explain away the occasional trip up to the rational minds of the 21st century humanity, and dictates much of our interactions with mortals. So, is there anything that the movies get right? There has to be some of the stuff that the books or the movies get right? Or is it all just vampire propaganda? There is a kernel of truth in every myth. Those concerning kindred are no exception. There are mortals who sift through and manage to separate the facts, though it doesn't happen. Thanks to Hollywood. For one, sunlight burns us. That's why we rest during the day. You felt it. More like being dead than being dormant, isn't it? But we have no choice. We are night dwellers, but day sleepers. Some of the more folk-related threats are just legends, or occasionally a minor nuisance. Garlic, running water, even religious symbols don't repel us, unless the wielder is uniquely pure and godly. Stakes through the heart, though, that's something to avoid. They do not destroy, but they do paralyze, which under the right circumstances can often be the same thing. There's a reason to have somebody like my trusted driver, Gregory, making sure you're safe when you drift away. We have many enemies, and they often know their advantage lies with daylight. So it's good to keep human friends. I guess she hasn't told me specifically that he's a ghoul, but you can get it from context, because she's talking about how dangerous it is for a vampire during the day, and that he watches over her, so obviously he can't be a vampire as well. So it's good to keep human friends? Am I right in thinking that having a human friend or two is necessary then, or at least useful? In moderation, and best if they don't know your true nature. Also, I would say that subordinates are useful, but friends? I haven't had one of those for many years now. Our little sect supplies local interactions aplenty, but it does not really encourage friendships, allies of convenience to be broken at whim. Yes, that's more like it. Long-term solidarity does occur in the Camarilla, but we are a very politicized organization by necessity. Loyalty to your sire, to your prince, and to the sect. Friends must remain a distant priority at best for us to maintain the masquerade and thrive as the years pass. With age comes authority, with it comes influence and power, if you wish to reach for them. She seems to be lost in thought and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder all of the things you've learned tonight. It still feels absolutely unreal, but as piece after piece of knowledge falls into place, the image becomes almost like an entirely logical jigsaw puzzle. Whatever you wouldn't believe on your own, you've witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts, but the one you keep returning to is what your place in this new reality should be. The car stops. You're in the city, in front of an old but well-renovated apartment building. We're here. Would you like to see your lodgings? Uh, is this another parking lot room? Is it another drab safe room in an underground parking lot for my safety and all that? Don't be ridiculous. You're not a sireless fledgling in Kadir's stern grasp anymore, and even he wouldn't hold you there any longer than necessary, I think. Come upstairs. She leads you through a small hall with a night guard who greets Miss Langley with a good evening, and then takes the stairs up the second floor. Sophie opens the door to the room 209. Inside are all of the amenities you would expect from a modern apartment, and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including thick blinds on the windows. The back room has a comfortable-looking bed and a thick steel door with several sturdy-looking locks, but no windows. Well, how do you like it? Am I going to be sassy or not? I guess I can try it. I doubt she's going to kill me just, like, obviously she can, because she did receive the right to kill me. But I doubt she's going to kill it, to do it just because I talk back to her a little bit. So it's perhaps useful to test the limits of her patience. I'm pretty sure she's going to warn me if I am about to cross a line, because it's in her best interest, really. Like, she would look kind of stupid if she would look kind of stupid if she saved me and then killed me on the same night herself. Not bad. Could use some redecorating. It's not bad. I would change a few things, switch a picture or two, maybe paint the walls a different color. I'm sure you would, but I would appreciate if you could call back the need to redecorate, or at least consult me before you do. The time for solo acts will come later. Right now, what we need is collaborations. Tomorrow I will take you hunting and discuss the blood in more detail. I'll let you get comfortable. The keys are by the television set. I will come pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back room for rest. You can lock the door, just in case. It stings a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly became a few shades dimmer. You inspect the kitchen, hoping to find something to drink. Nothing. No regular food either. Feels strange that Kadir could be a more thoughtful host than your new sire, even if only in that respect. You briefly wonder if the sheriff might have a hidden side. With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo returns. No, reruns. Columbo? Reruns. So it's a rerun of some show, but I don't know it either, so. Kojak reruns. Don't know that either. President of the United States got himself into serious trouble again. Well, that seems to happen quite a lot recently. President of the United States got himself out of trouble again. That kind of also seems to happen. Pundits start yelling over each other about things that seemed a little bit less insignificant just 2 days ago. You start drifting off, reflecting about another night of confusing conversation and worldview-shattering revelations. How many more before you finally understand what happened to you and what... Freak. Again, I clicked control by accident. I'm sorry, that has to be quite annoying. How many more before you finally understand what happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to life you left behind, the people you should contact, the thing you would want to pick up from your apartment. You wonder when you will have the chance for either. As you start to feel the same tiredness that made you drift into cold sleep last night, you settle in the back room. The bed is comforting, the lack of windows less so. You leave the light bulb on. Looking at it, you realize it's the closest you'll ever come to staring at the sun on a breezy summer day again. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. A few minutes later, your consciousness fades, and you take a plunge into the darkness again, sinking, sinking, sinking. Okay, so again, this seems like a decent place to stop. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!